Shout out Rugby, by the way. Is that the strawberry flavor? Rugby, strawberry.
Yeah.
Shout out Rugby.
Get on this shit.
Do what you want as a sponsor. We love this. I'm a banana and cinnamon man. But
hey, I used to like that flavor too.
Hey, I'm gonna try strawberry. I haven't tried it. It's a new flavor, I think, isn't it?
It's amazing. I'll be honest with you. It's amazing.
Shout out,
especially if you want to. Especially if you're trying to meal replace, this is the best thing for you.
Okay, Rugby, strawberry. Shout out, Rugby. Get on it. I'm gonna go get one after the show. Anyways, hey, yeah, shout out Rugby. Bananas and the yogurts are fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyways,
hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of Between the Sticks Footy. One more week of footy left for the season. Nabil, how are we feeling?
I am excited. I love this time of year. I hate it. It's the end of the footy season. But I love it and I hate it at the same time. Yeah, it is an emotional roller coaster in every sense of the word.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Guess what? Sorry, I know I'm just jumping in. I'm jumping in. The baggers are here. Carlton are playing wildcard.
It's September. How crazy is that? Hey, technically, it's not September. Yeah, the wild card is technically in August.
Hey, we're playing finals, baby. We are playing finals.
Wow. Fair enough. What a crazy weekend of footy it's been, honestly. How mad has this weekend been?
It's been incredible. 2 draws. I know Collingwood had a draw. Carlton had a draw.
Both of our teams. It just had to be both. It just had to be Collingwood and Carlton that drew games as well. What a crazy weekend of honestly, Carlton went into that round saying we have to win this game. And they realized 3 minutes left in the game. They're like, we can actually draw. Collingwood went into that game massive underdogs, and they ended up belting
No one gave Collingwood a chance, man. No one gave Collingwood a chance.
And then they repeated something that's never been done before. 2 draws by the same team in the same season. Crazy weekend.
Incredible.
But the week started, and so did the chaos of the AFL world. Some madness took place earlier on Monday.
Yeah, so big story dropped today. We treat this story with a lot of sensitivity and a lot of respect. Yeah, there are serious allegations of sexual assault. So we do treat this story sensitively, and we send our well wishes to the victims. We will talk about it from a football perspective. And
do you want to just quickly tell the people from the public's point of view what has happened or what's come out today?
Yeah, again, I will try and do this with the utmost sensitivity. So
absolutely,
if I've missed a mark, I apologize in advance. Essentially, there is a story. There is allegations of sexual assault at the Pullman Hotel in the CBD, Melbourne CBD, involving Sydney players. Matthew Pavlich came out and said, look, we're aware of this. We're working through it. Anyone watching this, you can read the Herald Sun, The Age, all the newspapers.
Just about any news outlet.
Story in detail. 7 News have dealt with it. The 5 players in question, they were named by 7 News. And I quote from 7 News and Caroline Wilson. Those players are Nick Blakey, Chad Warner, Isaac Heaney, Riley Bice, and James Jordan. They are serious allegations, so we will tread lightly here.
From a football point of view,
from a football point of view, there's already Caroline Wilson reported on Agenda Setters today that the All Australian team announcement has been postponed another week. Now,
we're about to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does it mean for players like Isaac Heaney, Nick Blakey, Chad Warner, all probably likely to be All Australian or will be very close to being All Australian. So,
probably some of the more important players for their team.
Exactly. And I guess what does it mean for the Swan season? Let's assume these players are going to be suspended until this police investigation is completed. What does it mean for a final series without Isaac Heaney, Chad Warner, and Nick Blakey?
If you're honestly asking me, I think especially Heaney,
Chad Warner,
and Nick Blakey, they're probably in the top 5 important players for their teams, right? Or for their team, for Sydney.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So you remove those 3 from the equation of Sydney's team heading into finals, And like you said, let's just say they're suspended indefinitely until they figure out what the investigation leads to. I would call Sydney's season at that point. I don't think Sydney would be able to progress any further than maybe the first week of finals or the second week of finals because they have a double chance.
I think they'll go out in straight sets. I agree with you. I think they'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
I think whether they play Brisbane or Hawthorn at this stage, we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Melbourne potentially,
and especially losing those types of players or those quality of players, you're probably also disturbing, I guess, the mojo and the mood and the, I guess, whatever else comes with that. I guess the environment of the game of the team.
Shell shocked to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So you include or you disclude those players of that quality. I naturally think that will just cause a lot of unrest and unease in the team. And mentally, it will probably take a toll on the rest of their teammates as well.
Absolutely.
They're some of their best teammates are not playing. They're in some serious situation that, is not just a football issue now. It's a legal issue. It's a reputational issue. There's a whole lot comes with it. So
massive.
Like, it's almost a disturbance to the whole club across the board. But even more so for the football team.
And look, rightly so, a serious disturbance and a valid disturbance, right? So it's totally valid. And look, we'll let the investigation play out. Absolutely. I think for Sydney means next man up mentality. That's how they have to treat it. Those players that are 22 to 26 or 23 to 26 on the list, they have an opportunity. Those kids have an opportunity. The likes of Jai Sarong have an opportunity.
Absolutely.
For them to step up. So I think we'll leave it there.
I guess we'll leave that there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's probably been the biggest story coming out of this is the second week in a row now that we've had a major breaking story happen at the beginning of the week. Geelong was last week, and now Sydney. Some interesting things are going on in the football landscape, to say the least. But let's move and talk about the football. The football from this weekend. Nabil, wildcard is on the board for the Blues. Talk to me.
It is. I can't believe it. You called me delusional. I didn't believe it, and here we are. The Blues are playing wildcard.
Can you just?
I've got something. I'll be back.
Oh,
Daddy Walsh. Daddy Walsh. I don't know if we can see it. Oh,
you can barely see it. I don't know if you recognize the photos of the faces of photos, but the Bill's holding up.
And carried us to
what a game!
Card.
What a game by Sam Walsh on the weekend. What a madness! What a madness the whole weekend was, but what a madness that game was.
Insane, man.
How did you feel about the wild card round where we talked about this last year? I want you to repeat it for the audience.
I heard it. It's bullshit. We don't need a wild card round. You heard it. Well, I don't care. We've earned it. We're playing.
Now look at this. Look at the switcheroo this guy did, bro. When we talked about this last year, I think it was you, me, and Z, and you said this is the worst idea ever. It's horrendous. Why the hell would they do this? Blah, blah, blah. And we were just like, bro, like it's actually a good thing. It's like it's going to help the season keep going. We're not going to have so many dead rubbers heading towards the back half of the season. Honestly, up until maybe last week, every game still somewhat mattered.
Mattered.
But really now the Carlton fans are all like, "Yep, the we managed the wild card is probably the best thing that's happened to you guys."
We love you, AFL now. Switch around. So the Blues made it, and we had the trauma of 2024 with Jack Higgins and having to wait for the Fremantle game to play out.
Yep,
we've had the trauma of 22 with Collingwood.
Yeah, listen, there might be more trauma added to that plate this year if we meet you guys in that wild card.
Maybe. But, we went off a lead, hold on to a lead. No, hold on to a draw and ice the game out.
I'll ask you an honest question as a Carlton fan, Did you, I guess I can speak to you, I don't know about the wider Carlton fans, but did you at any point consider or think that a draw would actually be okay? Or was it Carlton need to win this game?
Not until it was about 3 minutes ago. I was watching the game, and I was really
you and every other Carlton fan in this world.
Yeah, I was really calm. I was like, "Nah, we got this." And then it clicked. It was about 3.5 minutes ago. I was like, "A draw will do.
Yeah.
And then after that, they started kicking it around. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, draw's enough."
I think
play out the draw, but it didn't click until about 2 minutes ago.
where Ed Richards ran a little too far probably also saved you guys. Because if they had entered that 50, well, if it was a decent entry, it could have probably turned into a score, and it didn't matter what score it turned into at that point. Hell, a behind probably would have been better for them because it would have taken longer for you guys to get the ball to the other end.
100%.
But by default, we know what 50 meters are. And last week they were highlighting it, how some players were running further than 15 meters and umpires weren't calling it. But the umpire called this one. He said, hey, buddy,
they were paying attention. They were paying attention to so shout out, was it Jared Waitley or Gary Lyon for bringing it to our attention?
Honestly, it's a typical behavior from the umpires as well. Let's be honest.
It is.
1 week something goes sideways, everybody comes down on them. The next week they're paying absolute centimeter attention to it.
I'll take it. Look, free kicks sometimes go your way, sometimes they don't. In this case, I'll take it. So very happy. I'm excited. This week doesn't matter. They can rest whoever they want. Rest a bunch of players. We'll talk about resting. It's nice that a game of football doesn't matter, but
technically, I don't know if it technically matters or not, but I think to some degree there will be repercussions about who finishes where and who plays what. I would assume out of the 3 or 4 teams that are between 7th and 10th, out of Adelaide, Collingwood, and Doggies, who would you want to play in a wild card?
I want to play the Doggies.
You wouldn't want to play, or you would?
I want to play. The only team I don't want to play, who would look like we're playing right now, is Adelaide. We've never beaten Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. Our record against Adelaide is horrible. We've never beaten Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. This is the worst case scenario. I don't care about.
You would be happy to play Collingwood at the MCG?
I'd rather play Melbourne. I'd rather play Melbourne at the MCG. I'd rather play Collingwood at the MCG. I'd rather play the Dogs at the MCG. I don't want to play Adelaide.
Yes.
Carlton fans know. Carlton fans know. We've never been Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. We've never gotten close to beating Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah.
They bully us.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Too, but
earlier this year when we went to Adelaide for Gather Round, we witnessed it as well. So and Carlton's record, but Carlton's recent record against Collingwood isn't that great either. So you would hope it would be the Bulldogs again, or maybe even Melbourne, but I doubt it.
Hey, we're just happy to be there. You know, when you're at a
party, you know what? The way this season has gone, you're right.
Yeah. I'm just happy to be here. Hey, thanks. Thanks for the invite. I feel love. I'm happy to be here. Moving on from Carlton. Or before we move on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are you gonna forget about that? Yes. How are you gonna forget about that?
Josh Fraser is going to be announced officially. Yes. He's going to be the coach, King Fraser. You've dropped it. Welcome to the Carlton Football Club officially.
Are you? I wouldn't say impressed, but are you happy with the appointment of Josh Fraser as a Carlton coach now?
I am, but I think they may have made a mistake if they didn't run a thorough process. And it doesn't look like they did. It looks like they just interviewed him as a formality, and then he got the job because it was off the back of 12 weeks. So I hope they treated him like every other candidate. I hope they treated him like every other candidate, and he got the job on his merits. But from the outside, as a punter, as a fan, it looks like he interviewed for a formality. You know when you do an internship and you interview because you have to get the job?
Yeah, and they just give it to you?
Dominate the interview. It looks like he did. And look, he may be right for the job, and that's fair. And when you're 11 and you win 11 out of 13, you probably get the job anyway. But I would have loved for them to fill the process.
Can I ask you an honest question then?
Me.
If we start next year, you guys are what? Let's say 2 months into the season, 8 weeks into the season, and you guys won 2 or 3 games. Are Carlton fans going to
Fraser out! Fraser out! Fraser out! Bye, boy, just Fraser! Fraser out!
Why are you guys so emotional for, bro? Why is it always black and white, ironically, with Carlton support?
We want Fraser is going to turn very quickly to we hate Fraser.
I'll be honest with you. Carlton fans are the most fish on bait group of people I've ever seen. Like, you can just dangle it in front of them and they'll be like, yeah. And the moment it goes sideways, let's get out of here. Damn. So, Fraser out if you guys are, 2-8 or 2-9.
We're 1-8 again. We're 1-8 again. Fraser out.
That's crazy. Carlton fans. You're actually wild. Genuinely wild.
Fraser out. Anyways,
genuinely wild group of people, to be completely honest. So
moving on from Carlton,
fair enough.
Moving on from Carlton, we need to talk about Collingwood. We need to talk about the big Saturday night. You were at the game. What was it like at the ground? What was it like? Final siren goes, bang. What's it like?
Honestly, I've been to, and unfortunately, I've been to a couple of these Collingwood games where we've drawn now. It's a numb feeling, honestly, like drawing to teams. And look, it makes it even, I guess, even weirder this year because I was at the game earlier this year when we drew to Hawthorn as well. And knowing that game was going to end in a draw, obviously, because of Dylan Moore taking that shot on goal after the siren, I was just like, oh, yeah, like, this is weird, but fine. And a big part of me on the weekend was just like, listen, one of these two teams has to show up today. Like, it can't be not a mediocre game, but it can't be the way it went last time where Collingwood dominated and Hawthorn kind of come back. But then the exact same thing happened as, round 8 or whatever it was now. Collingwood dominated the first, I'd say, 2 quarters or the first half. And then, the Hawks came out of the blocks in the third quarter. And then the last quarter was just a shootout that ended with Dylan Moore taking a mark just before the siren again and having a shot on goal.
At what point did you think it was going to be a draw?
Honestly, I would say at the point where I saw the ball stay in the field of play after Moore took his shot. Because to any normal person, I think they accepted that Moore was going to score something.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think anybody thought he was going to miss everything or he wasn't going to make the distance. Obviously, now when you consider the length of the game, how tough the contest, especially in that last quarter was, how tired players could be and fatigue and all that. Yeah, realistically, it kind of makes sense in hindsight. But at the time, I'm just like, damn, we've lost another game like that we could have very easily won. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the third or fourth game this year we've lost, maybe even more than that, under a goal.
I mean, credit to Collingwood, though, and I hate doing this, especially in a Carlton jumper, but credit to Collingwood. This was against a Hawthorn team that's a top 4 team all season. They've been top 4 all year. They've dominated teams. They've beaten a lot of teams, especially teams below them. They've really hurt them. And Collingwood showed up from the first bounce, not once but twice. So credit to McRae, credit to the kids. And I think a lot of those kids showed up.
And speaking of kids, it was probably one of those kids, a 19-year-old, that saved that game for Collingwood. His name's Sam Swadling. If anybody doesn't know him, go look him up because this guy and is a rising star for this round, for round 23. So clearly, this guy has what it takes to play the game of AFL football. He's highly skilled. I think on the weekend he had something like 29 disposals, 11 score involvements or something like that. He had a field day, kicked the goal if I'm not mistaken. Like, he genuinely played. And low-key kind of gave us a glimpse of what someone who we'll talk about a bit later on in the episode, but a glimpse of what life after Steel Side Bottom will look like.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Swadling taking that winger role / halfback, kind of coming off that. And it almost looked like him and Josh Dacos were intertwining with one another. So one of them plays a hard position to play.
It's a really hard position to play.
And it's a very high IQ position to play.
Yeah, it is. It is. Role. And look, shout out David King. I think on the first crack he highlighted it, and you would have seen this live. He just makes good decisions with the ball, Sam.
Yeah. Almost like, I wouldn't say he's at, and this is a wild comparison to make, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say he's where Nick Dacos was at his age. Yeah. But you can see glimpses of that. His ability to carry the ball, his ability to make the right decisions that you're talking about, his ability just to be efficient with disposal, right? Because he went at, he had 29 disposals. He went at 82% disposal efficiency.
He did.
For a 19-year-old who's played, 7 or 6 games? Not bad at all. The kids, for everybody that was saying Collingwood don't have any kids, the future's dull for Collingwood, all that. I think every media outlet has come out and made a backflip on that.
One more question before we move on Collingwood. There's a story in the Herald Sun today about Pendlebury and Collingwood. Pendlebury's yet to reach out to Collingwood. Collingwood's yet to reach out to Pendlebury. Will you be okay with Pendlebury leaving Collingwood to play another year at Essendon or Richmond or West Coast in a Luke Hodge type role? They offer him $750,000, $800,000. Does that impact his legacy in any way? Does it harm his legacy in any way? As a Collingwood fan, how do you feel about that? Say he runs out for Essendon in 15 games next year, takes on a
Absolutely not.
developmental. No,
Absolutely not.
So he has to retire as a Collingwood man.
I think if it comes to it, I would, as a Collingwood fan, I would probably be okay with if he did it in an interstate team. So if he went to West Coast, if he went to one of the South Australian teams, wherever else, Port Adelaide, for example, whatever, like it's somewhat a pill that you can digest. But if you're walking a couple of suburbs down to another big Victorian rival, is SP3 433 t-shirt I'm wearing, yeah? I wouldn't be too happy to see him run out of nest and then jump in next year, I'll be honest with you. So I think if he plays on, he'll play on at Collingwood. They'll always work it out. Pendlebury's never had issues for his 20-something years. Never, ever heard Scott Pendlebury contract issues, Scott Pendlebury this, that. I'm sure him and the club will work it out, and he'll probably re-sign and play another year, especially now that Sidebottom's retired as well. He would have a big say in his future, to say the least.
Fair call, fair call.
But yeah, that was a hectic weekend of footy.
Wow.
But now I want to talk about what the repercussions and the fallout from that is going to be for the wild card or the rest of the wild card, right? So looking at the ladder, alrighty. So this is what the ladder looks like right now. And that ladder right now has obviously Fremantle, Sydney locked up at the top. Yeah. Everything from third all the way down to about seventh right now is up for grabs.
It is.
You can fall down as far down as seventh. You can probably go up as high as third right now.
It is,
So obviously Brisbane's playing Collingwood. Hawthorn's playing West Coast. I believe Melbourne's playing.
So Brisbane lose, Hawthorn win. All of a sudden, Brisbane go to Optus, and Hawthorn goes to Sydney. That suddenly becomes massive.
Yeah.
If, as we expect, Sydney's players get suspended, Sydney doesn't become scary at all anymore. But then going on.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the fallout from everything that's happened with Sydney over the last, been a couple of days now, turns out to affect them on field, and all of a sudden, I don't think anybody's scared to go to the SCG to play Sydney anymore.
One's scared to go to the SCG.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, Geelong are playing Tigers, Melbourne are playing Doggies. So that game, Melbourne and Doggies, is probably the most interesting one out of all of them. Now, obviously, we found out on the weekend that Jacob Van Rooyen more than likely is going to get suspended.
He'll get probably
2 3 weeks, maybe.
Got 3. It'll come down to 2.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks will probably be what he's going to get. Now, that rules him out of, and this is based on if Melbourne finish outside the 6, that means he's going to miss the wild card, and he's going to miss at least their first week of finals if they make it that far. Now, Van Rooyen's been in great form.
Based on it, yes, as in based on a 3-week suspension, you mean?
Yeah, obviously. So if it's 3 weeks, forget it. I would say he probably won't play again this season, realistically. Okay. But if it's not a 3-week suspension, it's a 2-week suspension, then he's betting on the fact that, well, I think it would be better for Melbourne to play in the wild card at that point.
For Van Rooyen's sake, yeah, I agree with you.
Or for the sake of him and for the sake of them getting their best forward probably back into the team. If they play a wild card round and they win, then they have another chance the first official week of finals.
And Van Rooyen is in.
And Van Rooyen is in.
Van Rooyen is out for 2 weeks. He misses this week. That's 1 week. And he'll miss out.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
He comes back semi-final week. Yeah. I was letting you cook, but I couldn't digest it. So,
that makes
but
sense.
if he's out for 3 this week, wild card first week of finals. So assume he's out for 2. But if Melbourne play wild card,
then he gets to come back for the first week of finals.
So elimination final week.
So realistically speaking, we did our ladder predictor. We predicted that Brisbane, the biggest probably, I guess you can say, repercussion here is if Brisbane lose to Collingwood, they can finish as low as 7th.
And then suddenly they could be playing Carlton at the Gabba, and that's not easy for them after what happened. Yeah.
But in saying that also, the last 2 or 3 years now, Brisbane have done it the hard way when they've won their premiership. They've played 4 or 5 weeks straight from the end of the season to go to the grand final and win a premiership. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that will happen. And
they're the one team outside if they finish outside the top 4, they're the one team that can win the grand final from outside the top.
Exactly. Like we've seen them do it already twice.
Yeah, they can do it.
Repeat, whether they finish inside the top 4. Inside the top 4 just makes life easy for them. And let's say they finish 3rd where they are right now and they have to face a weakened Sydney team at the SCG, let's be honest.
They win that.
Those Lions are going to rip
and
those
they've
Swans
got
apart.
and then they've got a home final.
Exactly. And then they go straight to the prelim, and they're just waiting for the next team to come up there. So I think the repercussions of round 24 now is much stronger than what it was before and what we all thought it was going to be.
100%,
like
100%.
It's that those guys, Hawthorn will let's
was apart from Sydney and Fremantle, there's consequences for every other team in that top 10.
Yeah,
Carlton don't want. I'm telling you, Carlton don't want to play Adelaide.
Yep.
Collingwood probably don't want to play Geelong.
Yep. Which
no one wants to play Melbourne at the MCG. Let's be real.
Yeah.
No one wants to play Melbourne at the MCG. And suddenly Sydney are appealing to play against.
Yeah, especially
consequences everywhere.
Yeah, I think the only game that probably doesn't have a consequence in that top 10 is the Carlton Fremantle game now.
No, it does. Because if Carlton beat Freo, they end up on 50. They've got a better percentage than the Bulldogs. Collingwood lose.
But that's on the basis that Doggies lose to Melbourne.
Yeah, so which we would expect to happen, right? If we look at favourites and whatnot. I know.
You reckon Doggies will lose to Melbourne?
Absolutely. I'm tipping Melbourne.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, sorry. Doggies losing to Melbourne. But let's say Doggies beat Melbourne.
And it's a different conversation. But Doggies lose to Melbourne, Carlton beat Freo.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Carlton Collingwood is back on.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Everywhere. Melbourne win, obviously, that changes things.
I think just about Geelong and maybe Hawthorn's games are probably the least worrying games out of all of them. Obviously, Hawthorn play West Coast in WA and Geelong played Richmond at, is it GMHBA? Yeah,
I think so.
At GMHBA. So realistically, looking at this, Geelong and Hawthorn are probably the two you would assume can only go up from here on the basis that Brisbane lose on the basis that Melbourne lose, or vice versa. Everything stays the same if Brisbane and Melbourne win their games.
Yeah, so Hawthorn and Geelong obviously have the most benefit.
So yeah, that's what the ladder would potentially look like. And the difference for, I guess, Brisbane is if they're going to finish in the top 4 or not finish in the top 4 at the end of the day.
Yeah, and look, I think that's got massive implications. Brisbane finished top 4. They play in a grand final, in my opinion. I'll go that far. That's a fair call.
I'll be honest with you.
They'll go to Sydney. They'll beat Sydney at the Gabba. Then they've got a home prelim.
I'll be honest with you. I think if they finish even 6th, they can still make a grand final, Brisbane. Just based on seeing how they've gone the last couple of years now, I don't see them not being able to make a grand final just because they finish outside the top 4. They've proved it. They can go and play the 4 weeks of finals and win a premiership. They can do it in 2 weeks. They've showed us everything. So I think Brisbane is probably the one boogie team you probably don't want to come up against in the finals, just based on how they are and how they're able to, I guess, play and finish out seasons. But speaking of round 24, now we've spoken about how important round 24 is.
What do we got?
Repercussions and whatnot that we have for it. I want to bring up something that the AFL did a couple of weeks ago, and a bunch of teams and coaches have said we really don't care. But obviously, the AFL came out a couple of weeks ago and said we don't want we don't want teams resting players and not playing their best, not fielding their best teams and whatnot. And they obviously, like the AFL does, made a bunch of threats with fines and this, that, and the other. And, the shebang that comes with the AFL, and it's, dictatorship, right?
Don't do this.
I want to ask you.
I'm going to go to the naughty corner.
How do you feel about the AFL dictating what teams can and can't do with their on-field players?
Step out. Let the clubs do what they want. Get the clubs do what they want. AFL, leave the clubs to do what they want. They want to rest a dozen players. You know what? Josh Fraser, Patrick Cripps, Jacob Smith, Harry Dean, Jacob Wiedering.
Go on holiday, buddy. Go on holiday, boys.
Bro, Hewitt. Off to Bali. Come
back. Okay, maybe Bali's not a good idea, but yeah, I agree. Like, realistically, I think the AFL. Yeah. I think besides the reality of the regular rules and regulations and the procedures and policies and whatnot they have, I don't think the AFL, Greg Swan, we're talking about you, buddy, should not be dictating what player plays and what player doesn't play on the weekend for teams.
Absolutely not. Let the players do what they want. Let the clubs do what they want. They want to rest them. If you're Collingwood, you really want to play Nick Dacos? Would you play Nick Dacos this week?
No, not really.
He played 30 minutes more than the next closest player. Shout out David King on first crack. He's played the most minutes
in the competition by
This
30
year.
minutes, more than 30 minutes, Nick Dacos, including, I think, the highest percentage of final quarters.
You know when tires on a car get worn out, they throw the old tires in and put new tires in. I don't think they can do those for legs, but if they did, he would need them.
Yeah.
Honestly, he would actually need them.
Funny, man.
Am I wrong, though?
Yeah, not wrong. Not wrong.
Am I wrong?
No, not wrong.
Like, realistically, if you had a player or if you had a guy that was running, mind you, he's missed a game. So he's already missed 2 hours of football this season. So realistically, no, I would not play Nick Dacos this week. But it was just something very interesting that the AFL, like it normally does with shit like this. It was just something interesting that came up this week, or in the last couple of weeks leading into this week. And I think most coaches have said, like, we don't care.
Yeah, well, Bontempelli got managed last week. He might not play again this week. You're telling me Bontempelli's injured? Come on.
And that was the interesting thing to me over the last couple of weeks. Teams have been resting players over round 22 and round 23, so they don't have to rest them in round 24.
2 weeks ago or last week against the Melbourne game, Alex Pearce had the week off.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, you're right. He had the week off. And look, most of these teams that finish in the top 6 are going to have a week off anyway, right? So maybe they're thinking, if we rest a couple of these guys a round or two out of the season, and then the season ends, the home and away season ends, and then they have a break during that finals bye week, then that kind of makes up for whatever rest they needed. So in the month of August, they probably play 2 games of football.
It's the teams that are that have wild card to worry about, because suddenly, if you're any chance of a flag, you need to play 5 big finals almost back to back to back.
Yeah.
4 finals, including the grand final. So you want to maximize your fitness levels, your health, your wellness, all that crap. You want to maximize that. You want to be cherry ripe heading into finals. And that means, sacrificing a couple of your stars and resting them to make sure that they're fit and ready to go for a brutal 5 weeks of football. The only thing teams care about is winning a flag. That's the only thing they care about. So they want to do, and that's all fans want. They want the fans to make sure their team is cherry ripe for finals and they can play 5 weeks of finals.
Yeah, so, I agree. And mind you, this is interesting because obviously prior to this week starting, we were told, or the AFL world understood that the All-Australian team was going to be announced before round 24. Now, if you ask me, that's a bit of hypocrisy from the AFL. You can't be telling clubs and teams don't rest players in round 24, but hey, we're going to announce the All-Australian 40-man squad before round 24 happens. So round 24 is redundant at that point.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
But obviously now we've come to find out that that's not going to happen because of the whole...
I still think round 24 will still be redundant.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
You reckon they've already made their mind up on who they're picking?
Yeah, you would hope to protect the integrity of the All-Australian team. They can't turn around and say, we're going to consider round 24. They can delay it for a week to work out what's happening with if these Sydney players aren't even in it and whatnot. That's a different conversation. But you can't say they're not in it, that we're not considering round 24. There's an issue. Now we need to consider it round 24.
I don't
know, man. You've got to protect the integrity of the game, and that stuff bothers me.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think we will know the difference anyway. Let's be honest.
We wouldn't, but you would hope there's some clarity. But I would hope that the All-Australian team... I think
when on earth has there been clarity with the AFL and the decisions they make? Let's be honest.
Yeah, because
when has there ever been?
Okay, because the question I want to pose to you here is:
talk to me.
If there is a player on the edge of the All-Australian 23, so he's player number 25, right?
Yep.
Suddenly you got maybe 1 or 2 Sydney players that was in this side.
Yep.
Suddenly, because of this story, we assume that they're no longer in the side.
Yep.
That player that was on the edge of the All-Australian team, player number 25 or 26, because it's very close, right?
Yeah.
They have a great game around 24. How can you ignore that performance, especially when now, whether it's a Blakey or a Heaney, is no longer in the side? If you're a Jordan Clark and then you go out against Carlton and you're Jordan Clark, you've just missed out. You go out against Carlton and you have 40 and 3 goals from half back.
Yeah.
And like 18 score involvements, 40 disposals, 3 goals off half back. How can you ignore that performance? How can you not consider it when finalising your All-Australian team?
And I think it was Nick Riewoldt last week who mentioned it on Agenda Setters, But he brought up a perfect example of the end of the 2017 season for himself. Or maybe it was one of the other panelists that brought it up regarding Nick Riewoldt. But basically, he had, I think it was like some ridiculous thing like 25 disposals, 24 disposals, 9 goals, 15, some ridiculous numbers, right, on the stats sheet. And he was like, imagine he was on the cusp. Like you said, he was the 24th or 25th man of the All-Australian team. He has a week like that in round 24. But because they've announced a 40-man squad a week earlier, and that if you'd watch that game as a selector, you would go, yep, I'm putting him in the All-Australian team because he's had a great body of work this season. But it was just something, I just needed a little more, and that round 24 game was that last bit of flavor that he threw in there for you. But because the team's already been announced, now you can't really, what's the point of round 24 at that point?
Spot on.
Right? So I think it's just there's certain things that probably need to be changed and should be changed in the AFL. And look, I'm sure they're doing their best they can and they're trying whatever they can to make it happen. But shit like this is not what they need to change. Shit like this it was probably put the way it was put for a reason, and I don't think it needs to be touched. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Simply put.
I agree. I 100% agree. Not broke, do not fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so yeah, round 24, we've got one more AFL round of the home and away season. I'm excited for this. We're actually going to the Brisbane Collingwood game on Friday night.
Yes, we'll be doing fan cams outside one of those gates. Find us, say g'day, say hello, talk to me about the Blues. I know it's a Hawthorn Brisbane game, so we'll be talking about Hawthorn Brisbane.
Collingwood, Brisbane.
Hawthorn, Brisbane. Collingwood, Brisbane. But look, I'll be there. Save, you'll be there. We will be in and amongst it, and it will be very, very exciting. So join us and say hello.
Speaking of celebrations, quickly before we wrap up today, we found out about the retirements of a couple of big premiership stars from a couple of teams.
Yes.
Late last week or early last week / late last week. Obviously, after our recording of last week's episode. And we just thought we'd give them a shout out. Obviously, still side bottom. There's been mass celebration.
We need a microphone. Where's the microphone? Save. Where's the microphone? I think you deserve to do.
What are we doing?
We're doing an interview here. We're doing an interview. You've been a Collingwood man and you followed Steel Side Bottom his entire career.
My entire
career. Your entire career as a football fan, though. That's not like that. Give us your thoughts on the retirement of Side Bottom and what it means as a football fan and a Collingwood fan.
Honestly, Steel Side Bottom came in at a time when Collingwood was just getting good again. I think he got drafted in 2008. Alongside at the time, I remember it was Dame Beams and Sharad Wellingham for all those Collingwood fans that remember that this time. And he was a premiership player at age 19, right? Yes. He got drafted at the end of 2008. He debuted in 2009, played in the premiership in 2010. And it was, look, when he kicked those 2 goals in the replay grand final. I think I'm not mistaken. He kicked the last goal of the 2010 grand final, and he also kicked the last goal of the 2023 grand final for Collingwood. So seeing that guy or that kid at the time, and then him grow to become probably one of the best and most smart wingmen in the AFL over the last, I'd say, decade and a half it's been now, almost. And just seeing how he's helped, I've known Steel Side Bottom being a Collingwood player for as long as probably I've known Collingwood, I'll be honest with you, right? So he got drafted right about the time I kind of got following Collingwood as a kid, and I've just watched a consistent player, almost a player you always knew was there, barely got injured. It goes to show you what a generational player is like, and it goes to show you the difference between great players and good players. Because great players, even when the times are rough, you'll still see them performing at the best that they can. You still see them delivering for the team. And then obviously when the good times come around, they're just a massive part of it. So just seeing that and seeing that career flourish over the last, what has been 18 or 19 years now, has just been amazing. And honestly, shout out to Steel Side Bottom and happy retirement as well.
Shout out Steel Side Bottom. Me, as a Carlton man, I can say, look, it's a great career. He's always played really, really well against us and really dominated games. He wasn't the quickest footballer. He was very, very skillful, right and left.
Very smart.
Can hit a target. So shout out to Steel Side Bottom.
Probably the second best player of this generation of players to be really good on both sides of his foot. Both sides of his body. Sorry.
He's up there. He's up there with the very best on both sides of their foot. The next player we want to give a shout out to Dion Prestia.
Dion Prestia, triple premiership player at the Tigers.
Yeah, massive. I think he's had his fair share of injury.
Fair share of injuries.
Fair share of injury, and he's been quite unlucky with injury. As good of a career he's had. I think without injury, we could have been talking about him as one of the greats of the competition. Yeah. Still a great servant of the Richmond Football Club.
Oh, absolutely. A couple of best and fairest. 3 premierships, obviously, played in that dynasty.
At his best, he was very, very good. Another player that unfortunately dominated against Carlton, used to tear us apart at the start of the season. So a very good player. And the last one I want to give a shout out to is a former Melbourne Premiership player.
Before you do that, Dion Prestia was also an inaugural Gold Coast player. So he was one of the original players that was drafted to the club.
Spot on, yeah, he was. Been there day one. So shows that he's been around since 2012 when the Gold Coast Suns came in? 2011? 2010. So he's been in the game for 15, 16 years now. So that's a solid effort. Dion Prestia. That's a good career.
Last guy
years at the top level. Tom McDonald, very, very good player at Melbourne. Premiership player. Could play back, play forward, play on the wing. Really one of those players that got everything out of himself. Gave every last bit out of himself.
Can we almost say
share of injury?
He revived his career by going down back?
100%. Turned it around. It was sort of a forward, wasn't working. Went on the wing, wasn't really working. Went down back. Yeah, he's done really well. One of those players you just love to watch. Gave it everything every time he went out there. I think he's
almost got delisted by Melbourne there around 2022, 23. Almost lost his spot in the team. And they nearly were close to wrapping it up for him in his career. But listen, he persevered. He found his way down to back line. And he's probably had a great year or two now towards the end of his career.
I like that word he used. He persevered, and his stories with perseverance.
Shout out to those guys, Premiership players, all of them that have retired now. I think every year that we go by, we're seeing more of the guys that we've watched play their whole careers just disappear off the face of the AFL landscape. So absolutely. But I think we'll wrap it up there today.
We'll wrap it up here.
Obviously, a different platform today. We're not in the studio. We're recording online.
Yeah, totally different.
We're recording from home. Just a bit of logistical nightmares that we've had that we're dealing with. So we're just like, you know what? We'll just do things online this week. Nah, that's all right. But yeah, Collingwood, Brisbane will be there. Come say hi. Come say what's up to us. We'll be doing fan cams after the game. We'll post it up on the story or whatever gate we're going to be outside. But yeah, one more round left, Nabil. We'll see what round 24 provides us. Can you imagine if round 24 provided the same chaos round 23 did?
You know what? It'll be heart rate free. I'm going to watch the Carlton game with my feet up. I don't care if it is by
I'm not caring about what happens.
Freo can kick 200 on us, and I'll say, yeah, go Doctors. I don't care.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. We'll see everybody after the end of the home and away season for round 24. And with that, take care, guys. Ciao.